Good evening and welcome to the meeting of the St. Peter School Board. Special day, special time. It is Thursday, February 20th at 5 p.m. in the St. Peter Community Center Governor's Room. We will call the meeting to order. The first item up is the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kimberly, do we have any, we need to consider and adopt the agenda first.
We'll move. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Agenda is adopted. Kimberly, do we have any requests to speak? No. All right. Next up is the approval of the consent agenda, which is in the board book packet online and in front of you.
Mr. Chair, so moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion about the consent agenda or any items you would like to discuss? Discussion, discussion, discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Consent agenda is approved. We have a student spotlight. Elsie's here. Come on up, Elsie and Mr. Doherty.
Board Chair Potts, members of the board, I'm very excited to introduce you to the North Spotlight Student of the Month. I was just talking with Elsie's family back here and kind of talking about the ranks of honors at North. And we do a lot of giving of golden tickets to everybody and pulling tickets out of there and giving awards to individuals who get those pulled. And then we have Super Saints, which is another like small elite club, I call them. They get their names along the hallway downstairs. But then there's this top club, which is the Spotlight, and there's two out of like 450 students a year. And so that's Elsie this month. So Elsie and I in meeting and getting in talking about this honor, I said a lot of times we watch old board meetings and we take a look at what that presentation looks like, and we were getting ready for it, and she stops. The first time I met, she's like, Mr. Doherty, this is going to be kind of a tight timeline. Our family's going to Florida here, like right before this meeting, and I believe they just got back like yesterday or the day before, Sunday. So we got it done though. We got it done. So I had some questions. I had about 12 questions because I said, these board members just want to get to know you, Elsie. Oh, your mic. Yeah. There you go. That's better. Sorry. I was so busy helping get those set up early, didn't notice that one. But anyway, we sat down with about 12 questions. And the first question on there, I figured she'd want to talk about the trip that she just got back from. And she's like, nope, we're going to go with these. She's like, no, I don't want to talk about that. Don't talk about that. So let's start with the first one, Elsie. They all want to get to know you. So first question. What sports do you enjoy playing, Elsie, and which one is your favorite? And then do you have any memorable events from those sports?
I enjoy playing softball and basketball. My favorite softball, and my best memory from softball is this year's fall ball season where my team won the state championship.
And it was right here in St. Peter. That's right. Nobody comes to our home turf, right? All right. Who is your best friend at North Elementary, and what makes your friendship special?
My best friend is Addie Seitzer, and we've been besties since birth. Our mom were friends, so that makes us friends too.
Predefined. All right. If you could have any superpower for a day, what would it be and how would you use it?
I would choose invisibility because I would be the champion at hide and seek, and I'd play pranks on my sisters.
That is a must. All right. How about what's your favorite subject in school and why do you enjoy it so much?
My favorite subject is math, especially the operations of multi-digit division and multiplication. I actually have a long division problem that I would love for you guys to try. Chance, and there are a couple reasons for this. One,
She just wants to make sure all the board members know what they're working on for strategies for number sense, but then also to prove to Dr. Graff that in fourth grade, they do long division or a strategy. He was questioning me on that the other day. He's like, do fourth graders actually do long division? I said, absolutely, we're gonna prove it at the board meeting. All right, we'll let them work on those and then we're gonna keep going, okay? Next question. Looking ahead, Elsie, what do you hope to achieve or experience before the school year ends?
I'm really looking forward to the kindness retreat.
Okay, so tell us more about that. Like, what is what do you think the kindness retreat is? Why is that just like going to be a highlight?
Because I've heard a lot about it from my teacher, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay, very good. And then what are you going to miss about North?
Probably my teachers.
And who'd you have?
I had Mr. Johnson / Mr. Sindelier in second grade, Mrs. Malls in third grade, and Mr. Hassey now in fourth grade.
Very good. And our last question, like if you could pick one secret dress-up day for teachers at North, what would you make them wear?
I'd have them all dress up as ballerinas because it would be funny, and it would be even more hilarious if they would do ballerina dance moves.
Mm-hmm. Yep, very good. All right, and then Elsie, you brought your family members. Can you introduce them to the school board?
So that's my mom, Amy, my dad, Corey, my sister, Fiona, she's 7, and my grandma, Laura.
Congratulations, everybody. Congratulations. All right, do you think we've given them enough time to use their long division strategy? You want me to collect them? Actually, we'll let the board chair just say, like, collectively what the right answer was.
198.33.
You went with the decimal. Look, she's pulling out the key that she created.
I got 198.333333.
I stopped. I don't work as hard as you did, so I stopped after the second
Dr.
three.
Potts, did you put the line above the 3?
Now I do.
So I snuck over to Elsie right before, and I said, I came up with an answer too. Now, did you go with the remainder answer, or did you go with the decimal? She's like, I did both. So she was coming.
Great.
All right, now is the time the board members can ask you some questions, Elsie.
All right, so you asked a lot, but what is your favorite season?
I like fall.
Fall. That is my favorite season as well.
Right.
I'm guessing you're a reader.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite book?
Harry Potter.
Oh, which one?
Cool.
I like the 4th and the 6th.
Oh, good job. Good job.
You're such a well-rounded
No kidding.
I like the math connection, even though I'm a social studies.
That was great.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Well
Yeah,
done.
very nicely done.
Thanks, Elsie.
Thank you.
And good job, Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
Congrats.
All right, we'll move into the action items. The first item of business up is consider acceptance of gifts, donations, and grants. Dr. Olson.
A donation in the amount of $5,000 was received from Bill and Deb Dixon. The donation will help to cover the costs of the spring choir trip to Puerto Rico for several students, as well as pay for travel to music festivals and events. High school is incredibly thankful for the Dixon support of the choir program, and I recommend you accepting the donation as presented.
I so move.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Thank you.
Yeah, it's incredibly
Pretty
generous.
cool.
Pretty cool.
And the Dixons are musicians, so they're supporting that music background that they've got.
I'd like to point out, it does come out of my inheritance. It's fine, it's for a good cause.
Well worth it.
Well then, thank you.
Wait, so do you want us to approve or no?
I'm here to serve the board.
Okay. Yeah.
That's right.
Sounds like he has to excuse himself.
Yeah, you might want to recuse yourself. So we do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you so much to the Dixon family. Next up, consider policies with legislative requirements for approval with one reading. Dr. Olson.
So all of these policies were reviewed by the policy committee at our last meeting. Actually, policy 515 was reviewed twice. It was tabled the first time because there was a request for information about how we meet the policy requirements as far as directory information and privacy of information. And we shared that practice. On an annual basis, information is sent to parents about directory information and the opportunity to review student personnel data for their student. So it's really about a note for directory information and then aligning the language with MSBA policy. Policy 522 is kind of interesting. You remember that we passed a new policy 522 in November based on changes to the Title IX rules and regulations. On January 8th, the Title IX rules and regulations were rescinded. So that means that the policy no longer is in effect. So what this recommendation does is it removes and rescinds the policy that you adopted in November and replaces it with your previous policy with just a couple of modifications to meet more recent MSBA language. Policy 601 removes world's best workforce and replaces it with comprehensive achievement and civic readiness, and for Bill's sake, we also add CACR. Policy 602, organization of school calendar and school day, that just updates the note to align with revised Minnesota law. It really specifies the hours that the various levels of students have to meet state requirements. Policy 603, curriculum development, removes, again, world's best workforce, replaces it with comprehensive achievement and civic readiness. Policy 604, instructional curriculum, that adds the pending changes to the health standards and clarifies sections for compliance with MSBA model language. The health standards will be adopted, I believe, in the policy in 2026, I believe. And then policy 606.2, selection of library materials, that adds new language regarding school libraries. And one thing that we did do with that model policy is we added some sections on just clarifying how those library media materials are reviewed. So members of the policy committee, other pieces that I might have missed?
No, I think we went through them rather thoroughly, including the rescission and the replacement and all of that. So yeah, we got it.
And so per our policy and MSBA recommendation, policies with legislative changes can be approved with a single reading, and the recommendation on policy 522, Title IX, was also recommended by MSBA because of the change in the law to be able to move that with a single reading. So I would recommend you can either determine all policies at once or all together, however you determine.
I would move that we accept all of these policies as stated in the previous statement by Dr. Olson.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion or questions?
So if a student or a teacher is teaching on a book and there is like a formal like complaint about that book and it's getting reviewed, like, does that book, does the teaching continue to go during the review?
So
Or does it get pulled like right away?
Yeah, so there are two different pieces. So could be a challenge to material that's in your library. That's what this policy references. But then there's another policy that would have a challenge to an instructional curriculum or material, like a book used in the classroom. So in those cases, the book is put on hold while the review process occurs.
So it's really in how it's being used. So if the teacher's using it for a lesson, then it's instructional material.
Right.
And this is for the library?
Yes.
Okay,
But essentially, the practice is the same in both.
okay.
But doesn't the parent or guardian or whoever's offering the challenge to the book being used in the classroom have the option to opt out and have a substitute?
Yes, there's the option or opportunity to opt out with a different curriculum, but it has to meet
Right.
the state standards and the St. Peter standards in order for that to occur, right? That's correct,
But there's,
right?
that's also part of that process.
Correct.
Yeah.
And in either case, there's a form in the policy manual and so on to fill out and a process for an appeal
Yes.
to be pursued.
All right, I'm putting the cover back on the can of worms.
Okay.
Yep.
Sealed, huh?
Mr. Chair? Just a question. I know we talked about this to some extent, but policy 603, is that simply a nomenclature change relative to the name for greater clarification and meaningfulness, or what actually motivated the name change?
I think it was just the replacement of
Yeah.
World's Best Workforce in title
Because the world's best workforce was eliminated by legislation and replaced with
with CA.
CACR.
Just curious what the rationale was.
There was a legislative action. I think the rationale was there's another addition to the requirements in the new civic CACR, and it has to do with being prepared for life readiness.
So there was, to some extent, a logical reason to do it.
Yes.
You're giving a lot of people credit there.
Yeah.
It's harmless, I just was curious why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
That's just the difference between workforce and readiness.
Yes.
right?
Other discussion? Discussion. Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries, and we have adopted those policies. Item 3, consider change order authorization. Dr. Olson.
So is it, in your addendum, you can read it, change orders are things that alter the cost of a contract due to unforeseen circumstances. As Seth can attest, in our middle school project that's upcoming now, there will be multiple change orders, a lot of change orders. And in order to allow the work to go on in a relatively efficient manner, most districts then authorize the superintendent to sign off on change orders up to $50,000. Those of you who were on the board the last time, that was also the practice. Anything over $50,000 needs to come back to the board for approval. So in order to keep our work moving on that project, and it's starting really fast on June 2nd, we would recommend that you authorize the superintendent to approve change orders of up to $50,000 for the middle school construction project.
I'll make a motion for that.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Yeah.
I'm just wondering, when we've just talked about policies, do we not have a policy that governs change orders or limits in amounts that the soup can approve, or?
Bill, off the top, I'd have to go back and look, but there are some things that you allow the superintendent to, enter into, as long as they're part of the approved and adopted budget.
Right.
But in this case, this is different because there are increases in costs that wouldn't be part of the approved or
Except
adopted
that
budget.
you always have that contingency.
Yeah, you got the contingency there, but yeah.
I would just suggest possibly when the policy committee has nothing to do, they could look and see if they could add that to.
Yeah.
So you mean to add it to
to
provide
make it a
leeway no matter
policy.
what?
Yeah,
Or to include a policy that says specific to construction projects? Because change orders are specific. You're talking more a policy about what you have approval.
right.
The
Well,
superintendent has approval to,
if we already
alter.
have that, if we would just add a provision about change orders or something.
Yeah,
So
sure.
you wouldn't have to do this every time.
gotcha.
We'll look at it.
Yeah.
I'm very comfortable with change. We're kept up to date about any changes anyway. This just allows things to move smoother. So, sounds good.
Any other discussion? Discussion. Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Now moving on to some of our information items. The first up is the annual report on mileage and meal reimbursement rates.
So just as it says, the superintendent on an annual basis reports on changes to mileage and reimbursement based on either the IRS as far as the mileage reimbursement, and that moves from 67 cents in 2024 to 70 cents per mile in 2025. And then the U.S. General Services Administration identifies meal costs for breakfast, lunch, and dinner across the various places in the United States, but in specific to Minnesota, there's breakfast, lunch, and dinner in Minnesota in general. Then there's a different breakfast, lunch, and dinner breakdown, as you can see, for Duluth, for Minneapolis, St. Paul, and for Rochester. So based on past practice, this is how we're moving forward with mileage and meal reimbursement rates. And it's just an informational item that we present on an annual basis to the board to keep you apprised of where we're at with this.
Thank you. Yeah. Clarification. So if you're in Bloomington, is that, I mean, is Minneapolis, St. Paul just specific to the borders of those, or?
Bill, you're asking really good
That
questions.
is a good question.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I would read this to say you're in Minneapolis and St. Paul. But I could check that out.
That's a good question.
We'd have to get the U.S. General Services
North?
Administration.
Yes.
Is Blaine too north? I mean, Coon Rapids? I don't know.
Well, that's, you know, we talked about the 7-county metropolitan
Yeah,
area,
right.
whether it would expand to that, or,
That's a good question.
Shakopee?
I'll look that up.
Mr. Chair,
Yes?
I would just like to acknowledge that this is not unique to us, as outlined here. It is an IRS. We're in alignment with that.
Thank you. Anything else with that? Good. Okay. Next up, review of policy manual revisions, first reading.
So you have in front of you a policy 804. Gus, you want to come up? On information security. As we get more and more into all kinds of different worlds of technology, not the least of which is artificial intelligence, we need to make sure that we are on top of information security and protection and privacy of student and individual records. So Gus, kind of just give us a background as to why this policy is coming before them tonight.
Yeah, thank you. In April of 2023, we did a security assessment of our network, and I've been working on those technical controls to eliminate those vulnerabilities, but one area I hadn't had any movement in yet was administrative controls. And so I asked Dr. Olson, and we worked, that's one of my professional goals this year, is to further our improvement in the area of administrative controls. And the first question they ask in administrative controls is, do you have a policy, a formalized policy that guides making decisions on information security? And we do not. And I know MSBA does not have, I've learned in this process now that MSBA does not have a policy on information security because there's not a legislative mandate for it. There are state statutes that mandate student data privacy, but there isn't a statute that you have to have a policy on it, I guess, is what I've learned. So I sought out counsel with South Central Service Co-op, and we kind of did some research with them, and they're recommending this policy, which is a copy of Minnetonka. Several metro schools are adopting this information security policy that basically empowers the superintendent to authorize someone to make decisions on student data privacy. Probably, but and that it is a priority, and that we do take it very serious. And we are already doing those things. It just puts it into a policy.
As a result of this, this helps us down the path of getting that risk assessment gold star standard,
Yep.
sort of.
And it'll probably help cybersecurity insurance, and different things like that.
So again, first reading, and Gus is here if you have any technical questions about any parts of the policy.
Thank you for working with me. Yeah. Any questions or comments?
I like that this is proactive.
Mhm.
We're not waiting for someone to tell us we have to do it, that we've got something in place.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, Gus. Appreciate it. Next up, presentation of MSBA's Leadership Development Certificates.
That's you, Charlie.
Oh, you're getting calls about it already. The media's calling. We have a certificate here from MSBA presented to Tracy Stewie. Presented upon completion of MSBA's School Board Workshop Series Phase 1 through 4. Congratulations.
Yes.
on-
Good work on that.
Yeah, thank you for doing that. And as we presented Mr. Count with one last month, and now Tracy, the MSBA provides valuable training that helps us be more effective board members, and so we appreciate the time that you invested in doing that.
Thank you.
So, yeah. Next up, NAPAC Annual Compliance Update.
Welcome.
Hello.
So as these guys are just getting seated, this is on an annual basis. NAPAC has a duty to pass a resolution of concurrence or non-concurrence, and they're here to report on their findings. So you guys go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Charmaine. This is Guyan. She is chair for NAPAC. And like Mr. Olson said, that we do this annually. We're a bit early this year, but we are just pleased to announce that NAPAC on January 10th has voted concurrence for St. Peter's School Districts. How we voted on this is we go back on our application that we submitted to the American Indian Edge. It coincides with the decision if we're concurrent or non-concurrent. And what that does is we go over five focus areas. And we, at that meeting, we went what has been done, what needs to be done, and new thought process for next year. Would you like to go?
Want me to talk about them?
Yeah.
Okay, so the 5 areas of focus are support post-secondary preparation for pupils. And we assess that through that the Native American students will participate in career exploration events. Freshmen and sophomores this year showed no interest in doing this, but we had 80% participation from seniors. So that was good. We are paying for ACT fees for 3 juniors. They took 2 college field trips and 2 driver's education.
Our second focus is academic achievements of our American Indian students, and that our main focus was attendance rate. And this year, our findings as of January 2025, our attendance rate is at 91.1%, and as just for Native American students focus. Overall, I think the school district is at 90.1 as a whole district as attendance rate.
Really good.
Mm-hmm.
I think that before we move on, I want to give Shar credit for that because I think that the Native groups that she does with the students is really affecting that. She gives attendance, what are they called, prizes?
Like this year for the
Incentives.
Native American students, I'm giving incentives, like culturally incentives for Native American students, which makes them not miss a day of school, and it improves their attendance tremendously this year. So.
And if you're in school, your chance of doing better academically are improved a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, and I think that the Native groups are helping the students feel more welcome and just like they're able to be who they are and express themselves.
Yes.
Okay.
And now that we've talked about Native groups, our area of focus is 3 is making curriculum relevant to the needs of interest and cultural heritage of American Indian pupils. We guessed that our measurement was going to be 60%. And how this was measured, I did a survey, and had kids do a survey of one particular question. It says, do you feel that your culture and heritage are represented in the school and curriculum? Not all students answered the questions, only 12 did. And 58.3% said sometimes. 16.7% said yes, and 25% of the students said no. But in that area, we're in progress, and we're gonna make another, this survey was given to them in September, and I'm gonna give them another one in probably April or May, and hopefully the numbers have changed.
The focus area 4 was provide positive reinforcement of the self-image of American Indian pupils. We determined that the district is making progress on this, and 60% of students see themselves get to their full potential. NAPAC concurred that we are making progress. The Joy Days and Native groups are certainly helping with this.
In our last focus areas is develop intercultural awareness among pupils, parents, and staff. Our two main priorities is the MIEA conference that's held every year. This year is going to be in Shakopee, and we encourage our parents and NAPAC go. And this year we are sending 4 of our NAPAC members to go, and then 2 additional teachers. So altogether it's going to be 6 representing St. Peter. And that's going to take place in March. And then our second one, we wanted to really try to hit our numbers, is our increase of our members. 8 to 10 members. Right now we are sitting at 9. And right now we're just trying to recruit more kids to come in the district. So that is where we sit in that area. So all of those, like in this, is in progress, and we're hoping by the end of the year that we get more parents involved, and yeah.
We did, when we had this conversation, we did also talk about how at some of our meetings and in additional meetings that we have, we do cultural teachings, and we do see increased attendance with students and parents at those meetings in particular.
So with that, with all 5 areas, we St. Peter School District is in concurrence in those areas.
That's great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So you said you had 9 parents or 9 households that are in your NAPAC group?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That are active members.
Yeah.
That come to every meetings and voice their opinions and concerns.
Which I know may not seem like a lot, but I mean, getting 9 parents to do anything is, I mean, so that's kudos to you guys to be able to, stay connected with those families and to be able to get them to come to the meeting. So it's awesome.
Well, thank you for your work. We know how important it is for students to need to feel welcome and affirmed in their educational setting. So you're doing a lot to make that happen. So we appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, time for some reports. Building principals. Are you going in waves tonight? 2 waves? Okay. It's the warm-up act here.
Ready to be called off the bench?
Well, good evening. Good evening, everyone. From Early Childhood, just to let you know, we had our school readiness open house last week on Thursday. That's an opportunity for folks to come to our building, take a look at our center, register for preschool in the fall if they're interested, or even to just gather more information. We had a great turnout, so that was fantastic. We have moved to all online registrations now, so the tech department has helped us with that. We're refining the process. This is 3rd year. Every year gets a little bit more user-friendly. So we are getting our applications in. I do want to remind folks who might be watching that we do have a school readiness program. Our goal is to have every child ready for kindergarten, to have that experience prior to kindergarten. We have sliding fee scales and scholarships available. So we want to make sure that kids are coming to preschool and have that experience, and that's affordable for families. So thank you all for continuing to support school readiness. And then just a little note about our conferences. We are on the move for our spring conferences in March in early childhood.
All right, thank you. February has been busy at South Elementary. We had our readathon. Earlier this month, we raised over $4,000 for our Star Pride team, and that buys the Star Pride t-shirts for all of the students to wear. And it also supports the Star Pride activities that we do, like the Rad Zoo and things like that throughout the school year. So the students did a really nice job, and thanks to families and communities for supporting that event. Kindergarten registration is open for the class of 2038, and they are rolling in. Yes, it does sound crazy. We had to do the math a couple times to make sure that was right. But we have our open house coming up, so much like the school readiness open house, it's an opportunity for families to come in, for students to come in, see the school, look at the classrooms, meet some of the teachers, play around in the imagination stations. We'll have an obstacle course set up in the gym. So for any family in the St. Peter area that has a kindergarten age student, even if they're not sure that next year is the year they'll register, maybe they have a summer birthday and they're not sure, like we certainly encourage everyone to come and just check it out. It's the safari theme, so very fun night for everyone. And that is Tuesday, March 4th from 5:30 to 7, and it's that open house format, so people can come and go as their schedule allows. So we hope to see lots of folks there. Also in February was our South Music program hosted at the high school. And so a huge thank you to Robin Woods for putting that together. We had packed theater for the kindergarten show and a packed theater again for the first grade show. The kids put on a spectacular performance, so thanks to Robin, and then also for all of the teachers that volunteered their time to be there and help so that everything went smoothly. Tuesday of this week was a professional development day, so all of our teachers at South and North and Oshawa were engaged in their READ Act training. We have a few teachers that aren't doing READ Act, so they were doing some much needed PLC work and also doing some curriculum review tasks related to social studies and our ELA curriculum review. And then last but not least, STARS Academy is starting K4 in March, and this is for some students that just could use a little more intervention. So it's an opportunity. Invitations were sent, and we've gotten a great response from families. So that will be after school in March and April.
And just a reminder, the STARS Academy is part of our targeted services program, and that is self-sustaining. So we are reimbursed for any attendance in that program based on CLers.
Very good. Well, greetings from North Elementary, and it must be transition planning time, because we were just about incoming second graders, like that whole process. So we're just starting the planning for that for May. So here we go. It's been very busy currently at North. Yesterday we had the first evening of spring play tryouts. It's going to be the Velveteen Rabbit. About 100 students are interested. This is second, third, and fourth grade. So they were doing tryouts. Yeah, it's amazing. Like almost 1/4 of the population at North is a lot of interest in the performing arts. So it's very cool. And then that is going to be performed at North on April 30th. So stay tuned.
North and South students.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. So we're having South students come over for the first time. So that's play director Mr. Lenhoff in second grade, and he kind of recruits his whole family to do that and gets a lot of grant dollars to support that as well. Also, we're just finishing up as of tonight 16 hours of spring conferences. Doesn't feel like spring out, but right after we do building updates, I'm going to scoot out to the finishing of the conferences at North. And we always want to thank families for partnering. I mean, we get such high participation rates. I mean, easily into the 90% participation at North all the time. So thank you for partnering for your child's education community. Also, Kindness Retreat is coming up next week for only fourth graders. That's on the 27th, and thank you, National Honor Society students. We get a lot of, probably over 20 to 30 students that come from the high school that help out with that, so thank that crew. Young Writers Conference is coming up next week on March 4th. A lot of students in third and fourth grade participate in that. And on the 6th of March, we have Arts and Academic Night, and so come check out the Spelling Bee. We have quite the competition in there, and then of course interest fair, science fair, book fair, any type of fair you want to dream up. We will have it going on at North Elementary School.
Thank you.
been a busy or month for the middle school too. We'll start with our Joy Day that we hosted at SPMS on the 24th of January. So if you remember, we talked about that last meeting as an upcoming event. We accommodated that Joy Day by running a modified schedule for our 8th graders. Our 8th graders went through 3 sessions that were led by guests on Native culture. And then we ended the day with all of our students attending a really, really awesome assembly that included Native dance, Native drum, singing, and then our St. Peter students put up our teepee while all of that was going on. And just watching our students just like, it was amazing. And everybody was kind of doing this to the drum beat. So huge thank you to everybody who put that on, especially John Warren and Charmaine Claw. All I can say is the event was awesome. Just had really good feedback from students and staff, and it's definitely something we want to continue to build on at SPMS. Next, just want to talk about our theater department. They are working their tails off, preparing for our upcoming play. Public performances will be on March 7th and 8th, and that play is Puffs, which is like a spin-off of Harry Potter, the house that nobody wanted to be a part of, I guess. Should be funny. And then also want to mention History Day. So our 7th grade History Day projects, students presented those on February 7th. We have 30 projects that qualified for Regions, which is in MSU on March 3rd. And that's 49 students who will compete in that. Last year we sent 8 on to state, and we're hoping for even more this year. So really positive growth in that project. And then want to just mention PD Day. PD Day, earlier this week, the middle school spent their day with 3 sessions in the morning. The first session was culturally responsive teaching, some of the work that John Warren is carrying on, and also tied to the new rubric that we'll be adopting next school year for our teacher development program. Then we talked about PBIS, just some highlights of the program and how we feel it's really effective at the middle school. We're starting to see some really positive momentum. One of those pieces, or a piece of that, is our assemblies. We're finding a lot of success with bringing everybody together at least quarterly to just celebrate the great work that's going on. And then we talked about learning progressions. So we're doing a lot of work with grading and assessment, and hopefully we see some positive movement through that. And then our afternoon was PLC work. So I want to thank the board for providing us with time for professional development. It's hugely beneficial for us, and hopefully we'll see some huge growth because of it.
I'd like to highlight our high school Spanish department. Vero Castillo Clark took, I believe, all of her Spanish 2 and Spanish 4 kids, 3 and 4 kids. And the Spanish 4 kids presented to different groups who get a passport, and then they walk around and give a presentation on their animal. And I didn't have the opportunity to join them, but she invited me to her class when they were doing their presentations in rehearsal, and they were amazing. I'm blown away every time I observe one of her courses. It's fun to get in there at the beginning of the year and then at the end of the year, and the young people in that Spanish 4 class sounded fluent to me anyway. Very impressive. So that trip they've done regularly, but it's taken a few years to build that back now after COVID. Sorry. But if the other schools were as impressive as our students, I'm sure it was a great day for everybody. It's not just me hearing that, right? Okay. Courtney Shoemaker is one of our 2 fax teachers, and she recently received a $4,000 grant, a Future Ready CTE grant. It's a fairly complicated application process, but she is in the first year of teaching a baking and pastries class, and so when we outfitted that culinary kitchen, we didn't know what classes we were going to be offering, truth be told. So she's able to purchase KitchenAid mixers and attachments for those, and Cuisinarts as well. So thank you to her for writing that grant, and really helping to build that program. And again, I point out every time, that kitchen was well placed when we designed that building because it's directly across from the administrative offices. So I was pleased with the baking and pastry class as well. We have conferences this coming Thursday night, next week on the 27th. And we are hosting a parent meeting for parents of 9th graders about our Minnesota transfer curriculum. Currently, an invitation is being sent to those students who are in the top 10% of their class. It is a very rigorous curriculum that starts already their 10th grade year. But if others are interested in hearing about it and would like to come next Thursday night at 5:30, please do.
Thank you.
Great
Thank you.
article in the Free Press on the
Great.
Minnesota transfer curriculum.
Yeah, that was great.
That was great. Thanks to Emmy Remmert. She was a great interview.
All right, Dr. Olson.
Two things. The first one, we want to just start getting the word out, and we want to keep getting it out over the next several months. The middle school building is going to be under almost total construction this summer, starting on June 2nd. So the district office needs to move. The early childhood office and early childhood programs need to move. The middle school office needs to move. And all of our summer school programs need to move. So the preliminary plans right now is that the district office will be moving out to the high school with our business office, the superintendent's office, and the early childhood office and staff will be moving to north. All of our summer school K-8 programs will be at north. Our early childhood special education program will be at south. And our registrar, our office for incoming new students and families, will be officed at north. So it's going to be quite a move. It's going to occur right at the end of the school year, and the moving company, and Seth's busy working on this, is going to come in and over a weekend and overnight and everything else move the entire building. So you'll find the district office meeting spot changing in June to the high school superintendent's office. Second thing, remember March 3rd, just a reminder, that meeting study session will be at MVED, and there'll be three things on the agenda: a tour of the MVED building and a discussion of MVED building needs, both short-term and long-term. Secondly, there'll be a presentation on district-wide efforts to increase student achievement. And then third, we'll present the draft of our preliminary 3-year budget adjustment plan. So you'll get a shot at that with the goal of bringing that back at the April board meeting. I think that's April 21st for final consideration. So it'll go through a number of different opportunities for input along the way. Questions?
So are you taking or is the new superintendent, well, you, for the first month, taking the principal's office out there, since that's the most?
We're taking the conference room next to the principal's secretary's office, which is a
perfect.
very nice room, by the way.
He's got,
Take the summer off.
So.
they put him
you
on
do-
the loading dock.
Yeah, so you're just gonna share that little fishbowl there.
No, it's a big conference room that's right next to that, and it's got a conference table, so our committee meetings and so forth will be able to be held there, and
Nice.
yeah, it'll work well.
Perfect.
Yep, that's it for me.
Okay. Board members around the table, Ms. Stewie, since everyone else over there is
I
not
know,
here.
everybody else left, no. The big thing that I had was just about MVED, but we're gonna be talking about
Yep.
MVED, so, and I just think our new superintendent that comes on needs to be well, brought up to date on that, so we can keep our eye on it, but I think the transition will be handled well, so we'll be good.
Awesome.
That's all I got.
Awesome. Just a quick update on the superintendent search. We had a productive meeting on Tuesday night. Reminder that MSBA is coordinating our helping us with the coordination of our search. Amy Jordan was here. Productive, kind of long meeting, but we got a lot done, which was good. The application is closed, and today were given access to begin reviewing applications, so the board will begin doing that. Our next meeting is on March 7th for the next step in the process. And then interviews kind of happen really quickly after that. We have the 11th and 13th designated as first round, and then March 20th designated as the second and final round. So we move pretty quickly now. Yeah, in the next month, we'll know a lot more about the future superintendent, so that's great. We did get really good response rate on the survey that we sent to the community for input. 250 responses, which is great, from all sections of the community, which is wonderful. And that's going to be really helpful as we think about who we want in the position moving forward.
We can release the number of applicants, right? We can let the public know how many people apply.
We can say the number. Yes.
The number, right.
So we had 17 applicants, which is really good, which MSBA said it's tied for the lead this year, I think, for the number of applicants that we got. So yes, 17, which is great. That's all from me. Mr. Kraut.
Yeah, I went to a negotiations seminar. When was that? With Dr. Olson.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and it was productive, interesting, with law changes and so forth. I think we're going to have to do some work on our contract language for our various bargaining units and go from there. Obviously, it's difficult with the legislature getting off to a late start and everything to have an idea of what we're going to have available to negotiate with as far as dollars. So that'll be a long process. So as soon as we get that superintendent search over, we'll zip right into negotiations. So that's correct.
I'm just looking forward to meeting you at MVED in March, but nothing else. Thank you.
Well, I just want, the NAPAC group works very, very hard on their reports, and they are really making some good decisions. And the district is supporting them. And then also the History Day, it was good to see faces and judges and people coming through. It was awesome for those kids.
Committee updates. Are there any committees that didn't get an opportunity to share any updates during the actual meeting that would like to give an update now?
I always feel like the education committee just kind of has the updates as they need to during study sessions and whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything I could just kind of like blurt out here at the end that would be.
Probably the biggest thing, addressing student achievement, we'll be discussing that at MVED next in March. Yep, so it'd be best to just get it there.
Yeah, great.
I'd say pretty much the same thing. Business committee budget is, I think hopefully the board feels more comfortable with the budget processes. We've tried to be very transparent, and quarterly updates for the entire board, I think, will help as we approach with our budget for the upcoming year. And as far as the HR committee goes, it's an ongoing process, and you'll get plenty of updates down the road.
Policy, anything?
Policy committee, you get the actions every meeting. And Bill, do you want to talk about the legislative committee? Ad hoc or?
Well,
just
the biggest thing with that ad hoc legislative committee is the day of the Capitol will be March 10th, and we have, 3 people going?
Yes.
Plus yourself?
Yeah. It's a busy week. Yeah, it's a busy week.
So my wife will wonder if I'm living at home.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We have the upcoming meetings of the board listed in here. That includes all of the superintendent search meetings in addition to the regular committee meetings. So March is a busy month, a very busy month. And then we'll be back here Monday, March 17th, back to our Monday meetings in the governor's room at 6:30 p.m. would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.